Zhou Guanyu é o piloto estreante desta temporada de Fórmula 1, o piloto chinês da Alfa Romeo Sauber. Marcou apenas um ponto nestas primeiras 7 corridas da temporada, mas tem demonstrado andamento, sobretudo em corrida, para fazer mais e melhor. Sobretudo para estar mais perto de Valtteri Bottas, que é claramente o líder desta equipa. Estamos aqui com ele em Baku para olharmos um pouco para as primeiras 7 corridas da temporada e também das diferenças que o piloto chinês tem sentido na passagem da Fórmula 2 para a Fórmula 1. Zhou, first of all, let's clear up. Guanyu Zhou or Zhou Guanyu, and why?
So yeah, we'll be Zhou Guanyu because the way we call ourselves in China is like we call our family name first, then our first name after. So I just like to basically make it quite simple for everyone, so I don't get like some part of the world calling me Guanyu Zhou, and then back home people call me Zhou Guanyu. So just one way. So Zhou Guanyu is the way to go.
Okay, that's cleared up.
Yeah.
We've done 1/3 of the season so far. You've scored only 1 point. You've been 11th a couple of times. How do you summarize your first third of a season in Formula 1?
Yeah, I think it's been up and downs. Of course, like the very first few races, it's been pretty smooth for me. So obviously I expect more challenge, and there was a lot of challenge for me, but I was able to adapting quite well into it. So I was kind of like getting already straight away into the performance of the car, the results I want to show. So that was good. And obviously from Imola, we had 3 races, like kind of 3 DNFs, which is a little bit a big downside also in terms of just for my feeling, just because in Miami or Imola, I feel like we have a very good potential, and with the reliability issues, so pull us back. But I think that just kind of way of sports. Obviously, it's hurting me a little bit, but also I'm fully acceptable of that because of the new era of F1, and also from F2 you don't get too much of issues, so that happens in F1 quite often for every team, so that's just normal. But yeah, a bit unlucky on that, and now I feel like it's the time to switch everything around to be bounced back, because it's not been the easiest the first few races, because many tracks I don't know and many straight circuits. So hopefully when we go to more proper racetracks, that should be more suitable for my style.
You mentioned Formula 2. You did 3 years in Formula 2, but even with that experience, how big a jump is it to get into a Formula 1 team with 500 people at the factory, 60 people on the circuit? How much more support do you have, but how much more work do you have to do as a Formula 1 driver?
Yeah, it's different, because in Formula 1 obviously you have a lot of people working just for 2 drivers, and you really feel you have a big power of the inside team. The driver feedback is so important for the direction of development of the car, because compared to F2, you don't really develop your car. It's more like have a good baseline setup, and then you try to change, adapting from track by track. But the biggest difference is like in F1, certain things you have to speak to different people, where in F2 you just speak to 1 or 2 engineers that always done. They can sort of solve every problem. So in F1 you have to go around different people just to understanding a little bit better all around. And I've been actually quite okay in terms of adapting, and enjoyed the atmosphere in the team, and everybody is very happy, very motivated compared to the past year. So it's always a good step up compared to last year. So everyone is quite happy, and we just try to getting some decent results to reward them on track. So yeah.
As you mentioned, the team is on an upward trend after 2 difficult seasons, particularly last year. So you caught that wave going up. How much support do you see? How much a man like with the experience of Frederic Vasseur brings to you? How much do you look for him to get some advice on areas that are completely new for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fred always talks the truth, or try to help me around, and obviously when he saw me struggle with certain things or questionable about certain things, he would just come to speak to me very openly, and it just give me a motivation, because in F1 it's obviously for me as a rookie driver, where you feel like, of course I want to score more points, finish higher than P10, my best finish. So after all this quite frustrating last few races, of course Fred is like one of the perfect guys to speak to, just to understand me, and he just calm you around and just give you reset yourself. So I think it's been very important part of this journey in Formula 1. And yeah.
You teamed up with a very experienced driver, 10-time Grand Prix winner, runner-up in the World Championship, but Valtteri sort of has gone out of his way to help you and to help you bring you up and get the team to score more points. Were you surprised by Valtteri's openness and willingness to help you?
Not really, because I always knew Valtteri was a good guy, but obviously I don't know him that well because I really never been the same, in the academy of he raced before. So, but then yeah, everybody always said about nice word about him. So I was, ready to. Well, I'm a teamer with him. I knew that he will be a good one, and of course I knew he's a quick one as well. So the experience he has is completely brings so much knowledge for me, also for the team. So for me as a rookie, I really can learn a lot, like stuff I wouldn't think of. He will be, in his kind of mind, and then that just little details can make a big difference in this sport. So it's really helpful for myself to just develop my really all-around driver ability, and then it's a quick driver for me to get as much data as possible, and obviously it's more challenging for me to try to catch his pace, but at the very beginning, but I'm quite happy with the progress. Like in the beginning, I remember I was maybe 8 times behind, then we just build it up. Now it's like 3 to 4 times, which I think is a good step. It's only my 7th Grand Prix, so I feel like there's plenty of potential for myself, and that we really can work together as a team, so it's good.
One area where you seem to have been struggling a little bit is starts, first lap, like in Bahrain, in Jeddah, and also in Barcelona. You lost a lot of positions. You were basically dead last after 2 corners. Have you got on top of that? Do you understand what happened in all these 3 occasions?
Yeah, I mean, Bahrain and Jeddah is a different issue. The start obviously wasn't great, but the issue was anti-stall. If you heard that, since then, I said it was fixed, which I never had anti-stall. Even in Monaco, when I went quite deep some few times, I was able to understand it, and also as a team, we was able to fix the problem on the throttle in first gear, so that was good. And then, in terms of start procedures, a whole completely different strategy or the way procedure compared to F2. I think we maybe was lack a little bit of information from myself just to understand exactly how the system works. And I can tell you it's just a different world at the start. It's even more than driving, the way you hear the engine, hear the wheel spin, the way you have to approach in as quick as possible. It's just a whole different story, but I mean, recently we kind of was in the right way of developing that, but also myself, I feel like, now it's time to, get everything right. We try to figure out the best construction for myself, because, everybody have their own preference, so yeah.
One of your goals in the beginning of the season was to get into Q2, and you got that done immediately in Bahrain, as well as scoring a point. But quite often you've been quicker in Q1 than in Q2. Are you trying too hard in Q2 or overdriving a little bit to try and get to Q3?
I would say it's a little bit lack. So we've been off a little bit sometimes with the just the way we send the car out for Q2. Also a bit unlucky as well. And for example, Imola, it was kind of quite low temperature, so lap 2 was always better. So for myself, I didn't push everything, but then I think other drivers, they have experience, they just want to push, and then something might happen. So Sainz had the red flag, which that was just a case of my experience, my mistake. But then in Barcelona, I think as a team we didn't get it right, because we was looking good, but then after 2 sets we expect more people to go 3 sets, but then all of them did 2 sets, so we were safe, but we was actually thinking more people will go for extra sets. And then we had no new tire for Q2, so the pace was good in Q2, was 2 times off the guy ahead, but with a 4.0 set. So I think it's a lack of just experience for myself. So now I feel like I'm more ready to make the right course. That sometimes I can maybe have a little bit of my self preference rather than just following what's happening. Just because as a team, they always want me to be going to Q2 as the first step, and then obviously fighting for Q3. But sometimes that can just distracting a little bit my Q2 performance by trying too much Q1. But
obviously you've raced here in Baku, not in Montreal, but after that, once we get into July, you're going to go to 7 circuits that you know pretty well. Once you get there to the European circuits, you don't have to learn the tracks. What's going to be the approach? Are you going to change the approach? Are you going to be more aggressive from the start of FP1?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all the tracks so far I know, I try to be aggressive, but then it's all straight circuits. So Monaco, Jeddah, and it's all like straight. So you always have to take care about the car. You can't afford damage because with this year's, budget cap and the development is not, it's the first year, so you have to take care of all the stuff, equipment in the car. So yeah, I wasn't really pushing too much. I don't want to make any stupid mistake. It's more build up. But yeah, going to European tracks where I know them more, and they just give you can start, let's say, a session equally compared to my teammate, compared to experience, because like when I go to a track I don't know, or go to the track that's straight circuit, normally maybe I'm like half session behind, just because I need to build up into that confident rhythm or learning the track. So I feel much better now, like from Baku onwards, the tracks that I know the mostly, maybe not Montreal, but yeah, these tracks can be benefit us much better than obviously the start of the season is being tricky with the Grand Prix we go.
You've seen with Ricciardo in Australia, with Sainz and Alonso in Spain, a little bit with Charles in Monaco. It changes a bit to have a home Grand Prix, and obviously when your dream was to be a Formula 1 driver, you already thought of yourself driving in Shanghai. How disappointing is it to be finally in Formula 1 and not have that home race?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really disappointment, it's just more like it's the fact how each country, they have their own rules of COVID restrictions, so that was probably not the best timing, but obviously just to be in Formula 1 every Grand Prix felt like a special moment to be on the grid. But then yeah, I really hope that one day, obviously like you said, my dream now is just to obviously to be fighting for better finish, and also to be driving at home. That would be a big moment, because you can drive any car at home, but when you drive F1 at home, it's a special moment, as you see, for all the other drivers, and that will be a race to remember for life. But yeah, that hopefully it won't be happen this year, so let's see what the future brings.
One final thing, if we have this conversation in Abu Dhabi at the end of the year, what results will make you happy?
I think multiple points finishes, and yeah, I think that will be I'll be very happy for that, and because that means I've done a very good job of progress and improving, so I'll be happy with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks.